Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to hashtag Final Fantasy VI, my Q&A where I talk about Final Fantasy VI. Before I get into the actual questions, what I would like to announce is that in the description box, I will have my future Q&As coming up. You will be able to look down and you'll be able to see what exactly I have scheduled in the coming weeks in terms of the Q&As that I want to be doing. I mentioned last week that I want to do a Final Fantasy IV Q&A, and there are some other Q&As that I would like to do, and just things I would like to discuss. So, and if you did not get a chance, go back and watch the Chrono Trigger Q&A. I was in the snow, wearing nothing but shorts. And the fact that I did that eating ice cream while keeping a straight face, I consider that to be a feat in and of itself. Like, I just watched the whole thing a few minutes ago before turning the camera on, and I kept a straight face. So I'm sorry to disappoint you ladies. You're not able to see my chiseled physique this week. I know that you all love it. But what can you do? But fear not. Do stay tuned, because I'm sure there will be another Q&A or another video perhaps altogether where you get to see my manliness. So, yeah, like I said, check down below. You'll be able to see the theme that I have for the upcoming Q&As, including hashtag Final Fantasy IV, which will be next week's. But we have this week to do first. Hashtag Final Fantasy VI. Now, I'm going to start off with this one question, because it's from someone who's not discolious. I actually have a question from somebody else! Okay, so Bulk Neurotoxins asks, what is your favorite go-go skill setting? This was submitted via YouTube. So let's see, my favorite go-go skill setting. Well, he starts off with one, the Mimic skill. But aside from that, my usual setting for him is Blitz, Tools, and Magic. I might sub one of them for maybe Science Sword Tech, but those are generally the three that I will give him is the Tools, the Blitz, and the Magic. And I'm more prone to using Blitz, just because I love to see Bum Rush. So, let's see. Now going over to Twitter, at Discolius. Surprise, surprise. He's got a lot of Final Fantasy VI questions going on today. Let's see. If Kefka or the Emperor were playable characters, what unique skill would you give them? So let's see. I would give the Emperor the ability to learn the summons. You know, like when you say learn the spells for, like, Phoenix, like once you learn Life 3, you have all the spells that, well, Life 3 is the last spell that you learn from Phoenix, so I would say once you have all the spells mastered, you have like a set number of magic points, and then he can summon the Esper without having to have the Magicite equipped. That is a unique skill that I would give him. And I would probably give Kefka a similar one, but it would be like the item magicite, where you use it and it's a random Esper that gets summoned. But instead, he doesn't even have to use an item. He just can summon. He can summon them the same way that, but it's just random. So yeah, that's what I would give Emperor Gestahl and Kefka, and I might consider reversing them or switching them depending on how I feel. But those are what I would give them because they're both power hungry and Esper driven characters. So there you go. Next question: is Dancing Mad really the best Final Fantasy boss theme? Why or why not? I'm going to say yes. It is the best boss theme. There was an article on Destructoid.com a few years ago. I'm going to post the link down below because that says it way better than I ever could. And so there you go. Best boss theme. Let's see. Next question. When and where did you get Final Fantasy VI? Okay, now this one's going to probably be a bit. This one is going to be a bit of a mouthful. I first got it for Christmas one year. I think it was the year it came out in 1994. A few months later, it was stolen from my brother and I. My dad gave it to my brother and I to share for Christmas one year because we both had this, because we shared the Super Nintendo. Anyway, it mysteriously went missing a few months after we got it, after a couple of people were over. So we're assuming that it was stolen because we never did find it. I later got the PlayStation version. Again, that was a Christmas present from my dad. And then, so like I was with that for a few years. And then, I think it was maybe 2009. I'd go back and have to check my email records for it. But I picked up a copy on Craigslist. So, there you go. And I do have a Nintendo DS, so I picked up the advanced version. Oh, like a long time ago too. So, yeah. Oh, that when I got the advanced version, it was from Cash Converters. So there you go. Let's see. Best memory of beating it. Probably about maybe 2009. Like I said, the first Super Nintendo copy that I had, which I shared with my brother, that was stolen. And even though I had the PlayStation version, it just doesn't quite feel the same. So when I picked it up on Craigslist and I beat it on my Super Nintendo, it was just that moment when it's like, I should have had this scene. This was the way I was meant to beat it. So it's like, oh God, thank you. I can find. It's like getting that piece of your childhood back, So just to be able to sit there and see the ending the way I was meant to see it, and the fact that my Super Nintendo was still working like over 15 years later. And I'm still able to play and beat my favorite game on that system. And that is my best memory of beating Final Fantasy VI. What is your favorite Esper? Asks Discolius. As far as the spells you learn, I like Phoenix Esper the best. In terms of acquiring it, I like the Odin Esper the best. Because it just felt like you get a bit of a backstory to that one. You have the queen who's in love with Odin. And then you can power up Odin too. You can make him into Raiden, using the queen's tears, despite the fact that she's stone. So there you go. Let's see. Next question. What's your favorite remix from Balance and Ruin? Okay, Balance and Ruin, for those who don't know, is a tribute album from Overclocked Remix. A tribute to the Final Fantasy VI soundtrack. A lot of people love the opera remix, which is well deserved. But for me, I kind of lean more towards On the Run, which is a Returners remix. So, yeah. And the opera one, of course, would be a close second. And I'll give an honorable mention to A Fistful of Nickels, which is the Shadow remix. And rest assured that as long as there is life in this body, I am pretty sure that the day is going to come where one of my remix videos is going to feature something from Balance and Ruin. So, next question. Who do you pick to run at Kefka, and how do you equip and grind them? Okay, so who do I pick for running at Kefka? So, like, I'm assuming that you mean, like, the final, like, when you go through the 4 levels at the end of the game. When I make my final run at Kefka, who I usually pick is Terra. I will equip her with, let's see, an economizer and the gem box. And I have her learn as many spells as possible. I can make sure that she knows spells like Ultima, I make sure she learns Merton, I make sure that she knows like Life 3, pretty much like the most powerful spells in the game, if not all of them. I make sure she knows practically everything. I'll also have Sabin in there. I will usually give him the Offering and the Genji Glove. And I make sure that when I'm grinding him, I give him whichever Esper that's available that increases his strength. That way, when he starts attacking, he really gives a pounding to Kefka. Let's see, who else? I'll usually have a second magic user. Maybe Celis, who will usually... I'll usually equip the second magic user with, like, every white spell that there's available. And then I'll try to have a good setting of black and effect magic, so that way I'll have 2 really good magic users. And I'll usually top it out with Edgar, and I try to make Edgar pretty well rounded, so... And KN, or Cyan, depending on like which one you have. So yeah, it's like usually those 5. So I'll toggle between those 5, but Terra's definitely in there as the magic user. And then I'll always have Sabin, and then the other 3 are kind of rotated around. But make sure that at least one of the 3 toggled in there has strong magic. Because I want a second magic user in there. And then, like, I try to make the 3 of them, whichever 2 is going to be very well rounded. They're going to have good speed. They're going to have decent magic, and they're going to be able to do some good physical damage. Let's see. What are your top 5 themes? Well, if you remember my countdown from last year, Terra's theme is going to be on there. Science theme I enjoyed. Let's see, what else? Dancing Mad. Of course, we just talked about that as being the best boss theme. Let's see. What else would I count in my top 5 themes? Save Them, which is, I think that's the music that you play when you're defending the Espionage and when you're protecting Terra from when the Empire's coming after her at the beginning of the game. And let's see, what would be the 5th theme? We'll go with the Ria de Mezzo Caractere, the opera theme. Okay, let's see. Saddest moment. I would say when Rachel finally dies, but the fact is Locke gets to say goodbye to her. He has that final few seconds to say goodbye to her. So I would say if Sid dies on you or dies on Celis, then when she tries to commit suicide, that would be the saddest moment for me. Let's see. Who are your top and bottom 3 characters? I'll start with my top 3. Sabin, because he chose to not be a king. Instead, he decided to go and be a martial artist and train. And that's something that intrigued me when I was a kid playing the game. Let's see. Top 3 characters. Cyan, who has the loyalty to his kingdom only to see it poisoned, and then he goes off in his rage. So, let's see. 3rd character, I'm gonna go with General knee-jerk reaction. My knee-jerk reaction is to go with General Leo, because he's like the one good apple in an empire of bad apples. So those are the 3 that I would have most interest in as a player. Let's see, my bottom 3. I really did not care for Gao. How mean of me to have not. But I just found that I didn't really like his the rage thing. The only way that you get to control him every turn is if you're using magic, and that's it. So that kind of bugged me about him. Let's see, who would I place in my bottom 3 for characters? bottom three. I guess that just by process of elimination, I'm going to have to say Realm and Strago because of how late you get them. So I really felt like you didn't get to build them up a whole lot. So there you go. My top and bottom three. Next question. When's your favorite time fighting Ultros? Favorite time fighting Ultros. So you fight him like a good 3 or 4 times in the game. You fight him at the Lete River. You fight him at the Opera House. You fight him in the... when you're looking for the Espers in the cave west of Thamaza. And then you fight him when you're ascending to the floating continent. I would have to say the final time you fight him because you get to meet Mr. Chupan. Unga! So there you go. And believe me, Mr. Chupan is nothing to sneeze at. So, next question. Where do you rank Kefka on the Final Fantasy villain list? I rank him as the top villain of all time in Final Fantasy because he succeeds. He spends an entire year where he's ruling the world. And he has a light of judgment where he destroys towns because he can. Not to mention he poisons an entire city, an entire country in Doma. And he pushes the Emperor off a floating continent. Kefka is the top villain for me. So there you go. Next question. What is your favorite spell? Let's see. If I have the right equipment, I'm going to say Merton. Because like if you have like Flame Shield and the Ultimate Shield, then you absorb, you recover HP while burning your opponent, while burning the enemies. But if I don't have the right equipment, Life 3 is my favorite. Because it's actually a pretty unique spell, because you don't get a lot of that. You actually have to wait for the characters to get knocked out before you can revive them. But if you have Life 3, then they come back to life you can cast it before they get knocked out, and then they come back to life, and you don't have to worry about it a whole lot. So that is what I consider to be that's what I would count as my best spell if I don't have the Flame Shields or the Paladin Shield to absorb the fire damage from Merton. So let's see. Well, looks like that's it. So, just closing in on 24 minutes now. So this was a long Q&A for me. Thank you everyone for submitting questions. I'm surprised there was more than just one. So, like this video, please. Share it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a Facebook page, Nebocsid. You can follow me on Twitter. Make sure to like my Facebook page. Remember to look down below. You'll see the future Q&As that I'm going to be doing for the themes. And let's see, is there anything else that I have to say? Oh, don't forget to join the groups that I just became admin for, the Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, and Chrono Trigger group on Facebook. The link is included in the Chrono Trigger Q&A I did last week. And next week will be hashtag Final Fantasy IV. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.